Alright, so today we are going to go over EMF Audio's videos. So lately he's done some videos showing his subwoofer versus Rockville, and I think there's a bunch of things in there that need to be addressed, so I'm going to just sit down and show you guys what I'm talking about. Let's see here. Got it pulled up right here. We'll just play through it and I'll share with you what I think as we go along.
Welcome to another Tech Stuff Tuesday. This week I'm going to tackle a question that I have been asked tons of times, almost weekly. What specs should I look at when I go to buy a sub? Or I'm looking at different subs. What should I look at to determine which sub I should get? And that's kind of a loaded question. There's a lot of things that you should be looking at, a lot of things that you shouldn't be looking at. And then it also kind of rolls into truth in advertising. Is everything that they're claiming actually correct? And I want to first thank the partnership that is making this video possible. This guy. It's an
Okay, we can skip the
where it was
ads.
going. It says it right there. Going to EMF Audio, right on the shipping label. On the billing, it also said EMF Audio. Everything is unopened. And we've got a net weight. That is because.
Alright, so the weight.
Make sure that if you say you're getting a 41.0 pound sub, that you're actually getting a 41 pound sub. That is 42.2 pounds. Shipping weight of 43.2 pounds. So we're a pound short on shipping weight.
So the scale he's using isn't that accurate, and it's on an old rickety table. It should be on a flat surface to begin with, a hard surface. So obviously he's not weighing it properly here, and yeah, if I have to, I'll go grab a couple scales and I'll do a demonstration video for you guys to show how much a little bit of a surface change can make a difference on a scale.
That's
or you can Google it.
Off to a good start. I guess from this point we should probably take the sub out, wait, and see if we get 41.0.
Actually, alright, so EMF didn't even bother to put the shipping weight on the box, in the manual, online, anywhere, so you don't even know what the weight of the subwoofer is when you get it. We're going to go ahead and throw it on a scale and see what it does on the carpet. Cool. 22. Alright. Hey, let's just throw it on their box. Alright, 0, 0. Oh, what do we get? $26.6. Alright. Scale back out. Foam pad. $31. Alright. Set that down. Hard surface. Metal desk. Zeroed out. 31.4. $25.6. So all you gotta do is, you know, on that table that he had there, take your scale, zero it out. Okay, we got multiple surfaces. 29.8. So there, never an accurate reading. Can't even get a legit reading on the sub. Don't even know what it's supposed to be because they don't have it online. I searched like, what, 3 pages in on Google and nothing. Yep, can't even find the weight. Alright, so going back to the video, now that we've shown that shipping weight can be easily thrown off, especially on a wobbly table like this.
And we have got a... Now we don't want the sub to stick to the metal here, so we've got the foam. But you'll see it does read 0 pounds, and actually we're going to turn it off and clear it. Turn it back on just to absolutely make sure.
Absolutely make sure.
We are zeroed.
On this rickety, wobbly, bending table.
And we have got a 38.8 pound sub. Yes, the box said 40.2 and 38.8. So that's not accurate either.
Not accurate.
Okay, so
weigh
in
a sub,
comparison
so
to the
you'll never
lowballer,
get a legit reading.
obviously it's going to weigh what I say it weighs because I'm the one who weighs it. I don't rely on somebody in China to tell me how much it weighs. I actually put it on a scale and weigh it. So you're buying a sub based off the weight alone. One, that's how you know it's a crap sub.
Okay, so if he weighs it, why isn't it here on the box? Anywhere? Nope. Hold up. Let's go. Yeah, let's go inside. So, well, let's see. Is it in this box? Does it say the shipping weight in here? Inside? Nope. Bottom? Nope. Down here. We get greatness in a box. Here. Enjoy responsibly. Over here. Some plastic, some swag, a piece of foam, a sticker, silicone pack, no specs at all, no manual, no nothing, no shipping weight, and we could not find it online anywhere. So if he weighs the subs himself, he doesn't care to share it with anyone else because it's nowhere to be found.
Never buy a sub based on its weight, especially if they advertise it as a feature of that. So I did the cut.
Yeah, you don't buy a subwoofer based on weight. However, there's a lot more to that than typically a big subwoofer is going to be better. Yes, there are, you know, things that make that not so true. But like Scar ZVX, people give that a lot of crap. You take a nice custom recone. Here, I grab one. something like this, all nice beefed up, you can actually get a pretty dang nice sub out of it. You know, nice made in the USA coil. Actually, this Rockville Destroyer has a coil just like this. Let me see here. Check the millimeter on it. Might be the exact same coil. It's 1 millimeter difference in the coil for the ZVX, the custom recoil one, than the stock Destroyer comes with. Looks to be same exact coil though, same company, same manufacturer. The custom recoil is a high quality made in the USA coil. I also have a DC audio coil that's actually the exact same coil that's in the Rockville Destroyer, but we'll get to that later. But anyways, is weight a factor? Yes, it is a factor. Overall, it means that there's more materials there somewhere, somehow. Now where that weight comes from is a big factor too, and how everything's made. So we'll get more into that later.
Cut out. As you can see, I have cut it out. Imagine that. If we sit it on top here, we're relatively close. If you were going to invert this
cutouts, whatever.
We don't offer a wrong.
They don't even. Yeah.
Can we take our cutout?
They don't offer a cutout with the.
It actually
EMF
does
so.
fit the basket quite well. So.
Yep. No cutout.
We don't offer a template.
They give you a full
like this.
ring.
We just tell you the diameter of our subs. But if you do want to trace this template, it does actually fit.
What is the diameter of their subs? So let's see here. Over here. .125 cutout diameter. So why do them specs say 11.125? I guess if you want your sub kind of sloppy in the hole, you go with the specs on the website. Back to the video. Just did some break-in there on that EMF, flipping it upside down, you know. Make sure that my specs show the right way later.
Now we can move on to the rest of the specs and some things that I suspect are a little bit wrong. Now we'll take a quick look at the sheet that is supplied with it, and we'll probably compare the website a little bit. And again, we're comparing the low baller line of ours to this because it's at the same price point on pre-order. So the low baller, the original one, we've discontinued. The revision 1 is actually ready for a little bit more power. It's a little bit different. It's basically the same sub. We are pre-ordering the 12 at
basically the same sub, a little bit different, but on his website show the exact same specs. How? A little bit more power handling. Okay, so here we have let's see here. This is the regular low baller. And Rev 1. So, here we have the Rev 1 specs.
Color line of ours to this sub because it's at the same price point on pre-order. So the lowballer, the original one, discontinued. The Revision 1 is actually ready for a little bit more power. It's a little bit different. Basically the same sub. We are pre-ordering the 12 at $140 plus shipping at the time of this taping. Now, also at this.
Okay, so basically the same sub, but different, but has more power handling, but has the exact same specs. How is that possible? That's not possible. It's the exact same sub. If it has the exact same specs, it's the exact same sub. So
Time of this taping, you can buy this exact sub for $140 free shipping. So think about this in terms of just what you're getting in general. You go, man, that sounds like an incredible deal. But they're factoring in the cost of shipping into what you're getting. Is it really free? No, they just built it into the price. So what if you're on the West Coast and you're paying for your $50 shipping that's coming from the East Coast, or they're wrapping into figuring out the cost there? You're buying a $100 sub that is like this.
wait, so he's saying his subs don't cost shipping? But they do. Shipping calculated at checkout. Oh, that's right. Let's see here. See if we can find anything in stock even. We gotta go to checkout. Where the hell is it? Cart. Blah blah blah. You gotta go to checkout just to see your shipping cost, huh? Jesus, you have to put in basically all your info just to see the shipping. Wow, that's pretty intense. Huh. I don't know. Company wants all your information before they'll even tell you how much it ships for. You can't even like just put in your state and find out, or get a roundabout at all. That kind of sucks. Alright, so anyways, there's going to be shipping costs involved with EMF, whether it says if you get free shipping or if it's added at the checkout. So, okay then. That means your product costs more overall than your $150 subwoofer when you add $30, $40, $50 of shipping on it. Now it costs how much? $200. Well, for $50 more you get that. So, who's telling the tale here? Let's continue on. So, okay, and let's address the shipping thing. So, say it costs him this much to ship from his one warehouse. Rockville actually has two warehouses. They have a warehouse in New York and they have a warehouse in California, which means that they are able to cut down their shipping costs, whereas they cannot. So, just putting that out there.
So just put that in the back of your head.
Yeah, so just put that in the back of your head.
Too good to be true, or yeah, that sounds accurate. That's your call. Just know that you're essentially buying something that are retailing for $100 when you're paying the $140 with free shipping. So we're going to compare here right out of the gate. You've got 1400 watts RMS CEA rated.
So wait, that's it? You're just gonna compare your $150 subwoofer plus, you know, $30, $40, $50 shipping to $140 subwoofer still shipped to your door? Okay. Just getting the range here that we got to play
here
with.
we go again.
$50 plus or minus.
5600 peak. If you watch the last video, which will be right there,
and actually, that's pre-order. That's that price. When they're in stock, they're supposed to be $200. So if you're $200 plus $30, $40, $50 shipping, then you're at a Rockville Destroyer for the same price. You're at these two subwoofers for the same price.
1400 CEA. Here's what we're going to end up doing. I'm going to test this at 1400 watts because that's one of the ratings. And if it's fine on 1400 watts, I'm going to test it on 2800 watts. And I'm not going to worry about peak. It's a VS number. We don't even put it on any of our products.
You put 750
now, from
watts
a
on.
Spec standpoint, yes, this is rated higher than the
1500
low
watts
and
max
it's lower than the Banhammer
on
B2,
everybody else's
which
site.
could be a closer comparison, but not really, because there's so many things wildly different. So we've got cast aluminum frame, ultra stiff cone, ultra stiff dust cap, all things that were on the K9. Magnet weight, 15.38 pounds. They're advertised.
Okay, so he says these are all the same things that are on the K9. Okay, well, I'm going to explain. The cone is different, the spiders are different, the dust cap is different, so none of it is the same that's on the K9 actually. Even though he said it was, none of it's the same. All different. I mean, they're night and day. Put the two in your hands and look for yourself. They're different.
I think magnet weight is a selling point, but aside from that, 15.38 pounds. Remember when they said the sub was 41 pounds? There's over 26 pounds that would have to be made up in the soft parts and the basket. Baskets usually weigh a couple pounds. And this one, 2-3 pounds. The soft parts, I'll tell you exactly how much they weigh here in a little bit. And even according to their sheet, it's 355 grams or 337 grams, which we'll get into. So the magnet weight can't be right. It would actually be significantly higher than that. Advertising is lower. Who knows? 3-inch, 4-layer black.
Okay. What? Who knows? You don't know? Oh God, I need a cigarette. This is bad. Oh. So, this guy's teaching you about subwoofers. Alright. Whew. He's teaching you about subwoofers, yet doesn't know the first thing about subwoofers. So, this is a magnet motor on a subwoofer. The motor consists of multiple parts. I actually brought a raw one out here. This is totally unfinished, just to show you for demonstration. Okay, this, say, if it was magnetized, is a subwoofer motor. Bam. You have a top plate, which is also known as a washer. You'll need to know this later. This is a washer, you know. Okay, so, you know, a washer. Top plate, gap plate, if that's what you want to call it. There's multiple different things that they call that around the world. And he seems to think that there's only one way to call it, but the rest of the world don't think that way, so that's what it is. This is a magnet slug. So, magnet weight would consist of how much magnet, as you can see, has a different size hole in it than the top plate. So, it would weigh different. So you have magnet slugs, the ounce per slug adds up to be a certain magnet weight. Okay. Then you have the back plate, or T-yoke, which is more direct term to an assembled back plate would be a T-yoke. Looks like a T. Okay. You'll need to know that later too. Anyways, on with the video.
Black aluminum voice foil. Haven't checked to see what color it is. It probably is aluminum. We'll get there. Frequency response is listed as the lowest FS when in series, but not in parallel. That frequency response, it essentially means nothing. They will play what the enclosure dictates and physically play whatever you put into it. On to technical data. So we've got cutout diameter 11.93 inches or 11.22 inches on what we just tested. 11.22 is accurate. 11.93 is not. 11.96 is the alignment for the screws for that diameter, so that's wrong. Mounting depth, dare I measure it? I might check that later. Then you get into the gap plate inside diameter, gap plate outside diameter.
Let's check yours right now. Mounting depth. We can't use the pre-order one because that's not the same. Actually it is, so why not? 6.25. Oh, that's more than 6.25. That would be 6 5/8. But hey, I'll just call it a little shorter than that. Although, you know, you still need ventilation for the magnet, which would all be closed off right there, so yeah. Mounting depth should be more IMO.
Diameter, gap plate thickness, yoke outside diameter, yoke full diameter, yoke thickness, washer diameter. Now some of these terms may not sound familiar to you, and that's because we don't use them in the United States. So this is an American company, and they're using terminology that China uses. So this is more or less saying...
Wait, it's terminology that China uses? Let's look. So, subwoofer, T-yoke. So, we gotta space that there. And we see all kinds of different T-yoke, some subwoofers and stuff. China, Precision Power, PPI, Sound Solutions, Anatomy of a Subwoofer. Let's look at this post. Why not? Sometimes they have good information. Oh, here we go. Top plate, magnet, T-yoke, back plate of the motor structure and pole piece that extends up into the center of the voice coil. What I just showed right here. So, yeah. Top plate sits above the magnet, directs magnet flux to the gap. Also could be called a gap plate. Top plate, whichever way you want to say it, it's the same thing. So there's a good post explaining the same very thing. We got Rockville, power acoustic using T-yoke, top plate, gap plate. I've seen Sundown U series, bumped T-yoke. 6.66, yeah, 6.66 wide, Y35 grade ferrite magnet. So that's nice. They even give you the grade of ferrite in the magnet, which the lowballer does not. I don't give you really much specs for the lowballer, so yeah, work with what you're given, I guess. But as you can see, Vibe UK, T-yoke, bumped T-yoke, MTX, ribbed T-yoke. So these are common. Sound Cube, bumped T-yoke, dual magnet motor, dual magnet motor. See how those are two different words? So anyways, we'll continue on with the video. ENC brands using that aren't just China.
Saying that the top yoke outside diameter, yoke pole diameter, yoke thickness, washer diameter. Now some of these terms may not sound familiar to you, and that's because we don't use them in the United States. So this is an American company, and they're using terminology that China uses. So this is more or less saying that the top plate and back plate are 12 millimeters, which we can measure and see if that's correct. The gaps and all that stuff in the pole, I have to disassemble it for that, which obviously I'm not going to do while it's together. And then you've got the recommended box dimensions, which are sealed 1.24 to 2.12 and vented 1.94 to 2.83. So those are very large boxes.
Wait, what?
Everything that I design typically is not going to use that, except for when it's
very large boxes. What did you say?
While it's together. And then you've got the recommended box dimensions, which are sealed 1.24 to 2.12.
What kind of box do they recommend? 1 cubic foot sealed, 1.5 to 1.75 cubic foot sealed. Well, I mean, it is quite a bit smaller subwoofer, so yeah, it would have a smaller box. That's for sure. Let's look at like something more common. Soundstream T5. We'll go with something just random. Let's see if they have a recommended box even. Please, Soundstream, don't let me down. We'll go with this one. Dual 2, 12 2. 12 millimeter T-yoke and top plate, which, hey, they gave you the same specs. No box specs though, huh? Oh, maybe here. Optimal sealed box 1.5 and optimal corded 2.5. So, are those really huge specs? No, they are not. Let's just Sundown SA12. Let's see what we get for specs. Oh. Okay. Let's see, 12V2. There we go. 1 cubic foot, 1.75. Okay. That's a classic. 1.0, 1.75. And let's go. So that's pretty dang close to his low baller, which I guess they're both 2.5-inch voice coil subs, whereas, you know, 3-inch coil sub quite a bit bigger. So let's pull up another good 3-inch coil sub. What Digital Designs 3500. Yeah. So ported enclosure 1.75 to 2.75, doesn't even give you a sealed enclosure, so yeah, not a huge box for the size of subwoofer that it actually is when you aren't comparing it to a 2.5-inch voice coil sub.
And vented 1.94 to 2.83, so those are very large boxes. Everything that I design typically is not going to use that, except for when it's much higher throw stuff, like the Bandhammer V2. And even then, that's way big, even for those. So we don't offer any of the motor dimensions. People don't really need to know that. It doesn't matter. So we don't supply it, so good on them for supplying it. Even when
Yeah, good on them for supplying it, because you didn't even bother to, or don't feel that anyone needs to know what any of this is, which some of us actually care about.
it's the wrong information. Now, aside from all this, there are some things to note on their website that are in more detail, like this sub has our best cooling technology, which means even if you're entering competition and playing 1-minute test tones, it will handle it all day. You gotta know what's coming later in this.
But really, who plays 1-minute long test tones at any competition? Typically, it's 30 seconds. You burp what you burp in a few seconds, and you're done, off to the races at a competition. That's what a competition, I mean, unless you're doing deathmatch or something, which you're not doing. So 5 minutes, average SPL on music, not on a tone.
Video at this point. And a thick aluminum ring near the T-yoke that absorbs and dissipates a ton of heat. That might be a little ambitious. We also use a much...
Well, your coil sits right here between the top plate and the T-yoke. So, guess what absorbs a lot of heat? Those two parts.
thicker T-yoke and washers, which also absorb the heat. Well, the motor can only accept so much heat before it's completely saturated, and then it won't absorb any more heat, and then your coil just cooks. maybe we'll get to see a hot motor because it's absorbing all the heat. We'll look into that.
To move heat, you'd want to absorb and cool. That's the point. You know, you have air cooling a bigger surface. It's more cooling area, therefore should cool better.
The voice coil we use is 3 inches and rated to handle up to 250 degrees Celsius. If you recall, in the K9 video, it didn't. We may get to test that. I've got a few ideas of some various things that we're going to run here, and it may or may not survive enough.
I've already tested it on a Crescendo BC 5500,
we will, and
5,000 watts
this sub is
clamp.
engineered and built better than other subs that cost twice the price. We're going to test that too, because the lowballer, we're actually going to test a original release prototype, because that's all I've got on hand right now. We're going to compare that, which does not cost double the price and is rated for way less, and see how they compare.
You didn't have one to compare, but I was able to get one, no problem. How does that work? He had one on hand to compare. That's how that works. Anyways, continue.
That will be an interesting result. There's a lot of buzzwords in these descriptions, and a lot of...
If I can buy one, he can buy one, regardless if it came from him or not.
I haven't proofed to see what kind of English is in there with really dumb wording, way less, and see how they compare. We're going to test that too, because the lowballer, we're actually going to test an original release prototype, because that's all I've got on hand right now.
An original release prototype. So you're going to compare a sub
double the price,
that's not the sub.
Way less, and see how they compare. That will be an interesting result. There's a lot of buzzwords in these descriptions, and a lot of it is just kind of yammering. I haven't proofed to see what kind of English is in there with really dumb wording. But we do have the voice coil windings are made in the USA. So they're saying that it's a USA made coil that is sent to China, like it said on the box, put in the subs, sent back as a complete sub. And remember, this is still essentially a $100 sub. Just something to think about there. We also have the return of aluminum voice coils wound with OFC wire. If you missed it last time, it could be an aluminum for the dumb wording. But we do have the voice coil windings are made in the USA. So they're saying that it's a USA made coil that is sent to China, like it said on the box, put in the subs, sent back as a complete sub. And remember, this is still essentially a $100 sub. Just something to think about there. We also have the return of
that dang expensive
aluminum voice coils wound with OFC wire. If you missed it last time, it could be an aluminum former with OFC wire, but they already said over here that it's an aluminum coil, not a copper coil.
No, they said it was an black aluminum former with copper wire. That's what they said it was, and you just twisted what they said to fit whatever. I don't even know if you just didn't read it right. Right here we have 32.7 Hertz FS is what EMF has. Actual tested 29.8. QTS, he has it listed as 0.37. Here it was 0.42. So why the variance? QMS, we have 4.9 and 4.6, QES 4.66, 4.0, BL 22.3. He has 22.19. Pretty dang close. That's probably not bad. He doesn't even have that spec. LE. So we got 4.3, 4.06. MMS 300. MMS 229. What? Okay, whatever. Anyways, not the same.
So what we're going to do, we're going to take this sub, I'm going to take parameters in series and parallel, spit out a result. I'm going to break the sub in, do the same thing, series, parallel, and see if that matches any of this, or at least is reasonably close. And the last thing on this sheet that probably should be addressed, that is a factor that you might be looking at, is X-Max. It lists 28 millimeters one way, 56 millimeters two ways. Makes sense. 28 times 2 is 56. That should be the case. We can figure out if that's accurate. We can look at this coil, we can measure the top plate, we can see the top of the coil so we know exactly if it's properly aligned, how long the coil is, and we can figure out, is that X-Max actually possible? So when you're comparing specs, what do people go to? They go to FS, and they say this is going to play low, or it's not going to play low, or something like that. You're going to go to QTS and determine what box is appropriate for it, or maybe even roughly a box size. Lower QTS could be a smaller box.
Yeah, I don't think his specs are right either.
Be a larger box. This is indicating that it's kind of right in the middle, right around the 0.33 to 0.37, which is what they're claiming, which is right in the neighborhood of it. Will work sealed and it will work boarded, and they're both going to be pretty reasonable on box sizes.
Yeah, his specs
and you might
don't
look
right
at
all.
the efficiency. Well, the other problem with their
We get more X-Max out of that
it doesn't list if it's
surround
2.83
suspension
volts
setup,
or
so
1 watt per meter. And that
unless
makes
he's got it dialed, reeled back in
Everything we
for
list
some
is 1 watt per meter.
reason.
If you do 2.83 volts, and you have a different impedance, that's going to give you a different number, and that will throw it off a lot. 1 watt per 1 meter is going to match 8 ohms. So if you make 2.83 volts at 4 ohms, it's going to be 3 dB higher. At 2 ohms, another 3 dB higher. At 1 ohm, another 3 dB higher.
That's
so if you're comparing
incorrect.
A dual tube
that is not correct at all.
Parallel versus another one's a higher impedance, you could be 6, 9 dB difference on that efficiency number. It throws you way off on what is actually happening there. You want to make sure that you're looking at 1 watt per meter or 2.83 volts. This doesn't tell, so we don't have an exact comparison there, but we'll be able to tell when I take the specs off the sub. So we've covered the basic things that people tend to look at: power rating, X-Max, QTS, and sensitivity. Those 4 things are the most common ones I get questions about, and we're going to see if you should believe those things. Now, I've already done a video on how you shouldn't just look at sensitivity on subs, because that's not an indication of how loud it is.
Okay, so he says that you're 3 dB higher when you go down in impedance. Well, here's the Sundown SA Classic D4, 84.2, D2, 83.2. It actually went down 1 dB. That alone just proves right there. Make sure to stick around for part 2. I'm going to test the EMF versus NVX VCW, because this is also in the price bracket of the EMF. This one's getting freshly reconed. It's not a ringer sub like a prototype that EMF used in his video. This is an actual production recone with no modifications. All factory. Sundown LCS. She's a little dusty, but she's trusty. We're gonna put that up against it. Budget Sundown subwoofer. We're gonna put the Rockville Destroyer up against the EMF Lowballer also, because EMF said this sub has shipping cost on top of it, plus it's a $200 sub normally, so that puts it in the price range of that. I'm also going to test it versus K6, K9, and maybe the Punisher too. I don't know. We'll see. I might get a Punisher in and punish this thing too, but all I have is the 15-inch Punisher. I don't have a 12-inch round, so no Punisher for this. But I'm pretty sure the Destroyer's got it. What do you think, guys? Be sure to like, subscribe, comment. What do you guys think about this whole deal? Obviously, you guys know what I think about it, and that's why I made this video, to help share with everybody, kind of to correct what has been said wrong here. So hopefully it helps. Hopefully you guys understand. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned.